What's going on, everyone? Happy Thursday. I know, surprise, surprise. You're probably wondering what Moving the Chains is doing here so early, but we wanted to talk Super Bowl with everyone before the weekend kicks off and just hear about everybody's thoughts, year-end ideas, just how everyone's doing. Because we know when Sunday comes around, we're going to all be busy or avoiding the game. I've heard many people say that they're not even going to watch. So welcome to Moving Chains here on Team NBS Media. My name is Ashmere Prasad, and I'm here with the squad. We've got a full house today. Of course, Jeff and Joe back as always, and Nathan and Kam. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing lovely.
Have you recovered, Kam?
No. Okay, no.
That's okay. I get it. All right. So I think we should start with the team I want to win, which I think 50% of the country wants to win, which is the Eagles. And the 10% of Kansas City is obviously rooting for Kansas City. And the Swifties. I think the Swifties are also rooting for a proposal that has been rumored to occur if the Chiefs get a three-peat. So we've got Jeff here to teach us all things football. And Jeff's got a nice whiteboard to break down what the Eagles are doing well and how they can take over in the Super Bowl. So, Jeff, please take it away.
Well, these two teams met a couple of years ago. We know what the outcome was. It was the Chiefs winning that game. They had a good running game back then, but they didn't have a Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is that generational back, and a lot of people gave him a lot of grief for New York and the tenure there. But people, if you watch that team, you knew he was the best player on that offense. You don't get players like Saquon Barkley very often. And you talk about him, he is what we call a great running back because he has all of the qualities you look for in a back. He has the vision, he has the contact balance, the change of direction, explosive power, and elusiveness. All right. All of that in one player is what you want in a running back. They're very rare. You don't get all of those traits in one guy. So we're going to break down some of the film on that, talk about some of the things you're going to see on this film. They're going to explain how all of those traits right there come into play when you see Saquon Barkley run. All right. So let's start with going to the whiteboard first. So I want to do that first. So I'm going to break down the first play, the second touchdown, and then we'll get into the other ones. All right. But first things first, let's pull up the board here. So Saquon, when we talk about all those traits, one of the first plays we're going to see here, I'll pull up the board, is a goal line run. It's going to be straight inside zone. That's all. It's a duo zone run, right? And all it is, they're going to try and get this front blocked. However, they're going to miss inside. Frankie Louvu blows this play up technically. But Saquon, because of some of those things we talked about, the vision, right? Explosiveness, change of direction, elusiveness, right? All of those things come into play. 4 of those 5 traits come into play on this first run you're going to see. And it's a plain and simple thing. Like we said, it's a duo run, so they're going to try and combo these 2 D tackles, right? So these 2 guards are going to come here on these 2 guys, right? And they're going to try and get up inside with Saquon. However, Frankie Louvu says not so fast and comes through that hole. Saquon's going to see that. His vision's going to see that. Change of direction and explosiveness is going to make him bounce outside and find the end zone, all right? How do you want to see this action? Well, we're going to show you right now exactly this run. So Saquon Barkley's run right here is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the duo run. Watch Frankie Louvu flash right in, and there he is. All right, plain and simple. Okay, to the house. All right, we're going to show you the back angle on this because I want you to see exactly what we're talking about. All right, so once again, all right, here's that zone. See how Louvu flashes? His eyes see it. Now watch the feet. Look at the hips open up. That's what we talk about when we talk about change of direction and elusiveness and explosive, all right? Explosiveness, watch the speed to finish the run. Boom, beats everybody to the corner. Very rare that a runner can do all of that in one run, okay? Right? He does it all, okay? Same thing. We go to that first touchdown in that game, okay? We talk about it once again. Change of direction, vision, all right? Explosiveness. You're going to see the contact balance as well, okay? Gets outside, sees the hole, explodes through the hole, makes a man miss, makes another man miss, right? Doesn't get off balance when he makes contact. He runs right through it into the end zone, okay? Well blocked, well executed, Right? Here's another view of it again. Watch him find the hole. All right. Speed this up a little. All right. Watch him find the hole. All right. There it is. Right. Eyes located, explodes through. Right. Now watch. He's going to set this guy up here to miss. Watch the feet. Now he's bad angled. You never make that tackle on him. Second man's going to try and come in and give him a balance shot. He's going to spin right off it. That's it. He's out. Okay. Contact balance, the whole cue, right? Everything we talked about, all five in that one run right there. Finally, there's another first down run we're going to show you. All right. Now, here you're going to see the same thing. This is vision coming right at you. Right now, Frankie Louvu does a great job again. Right? I feel bad for Frankie Louvu because he looked like a hero on tape, but he was alone on this run right here. Right, he's going to step up, and as he gets outside, he forces the action inside, and Saquon finishes right through the corner. All right, so that power, everything we talked about, you're seeing in these runs. Saquon is what drives this offense, and this is why, if you talk about the Eagles winning the Super Bowl, he is the X factor for them. If he gets going early against Kansas City, it's going to be a rough go for this Kansas City defense. They struggled when they faced the Bills and James Cook. All right. And they lost that regular season game. They almost lost a playoff game behind it when James Cook was cooking. If Saquon gets cooking, the Chiefs will be cooked.
And that is learning with Jeff. No, I'm just kidding. But it really is.
Thanks for using the Commander's film, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I mean,
it's the most recent one. It's the most recent one. I'm sorry, but you should have lost earlier. Could have used somebody else's film.
It's okay.
That's not right.
He had to show that it's continuously happening, okay? It's not just a one-off situation, that Saquon can read any field and figure it out. All right, so now that we've got a little taste of what Jeff has explained for everyone, I think we should start off with talking about what is exciting about the Super Bowl. Like, what are you all looking forward to? Like I said, a lot of people aren't too thrilled because half of the country is in the NFC division that the Philadelphia Eagles are in, or they're a Niner fan, or they're the entire AFC and they're like, this is just garbage. So I'd love to hear from you guys. What is exciting about this to you, Joe?
My excitement is to see what the Chiefs defense can do or not do against Saquon Barkley. I mean, I think it's as simple as that. And we'll do our picks at the end. But I mean, if you're an Eagles fan or the Philadelphia Eagles, if Saquon Barkley is making runs like Jeff just showed, if he's getting 8-10 yards a carry, it'll be a very long day for the Kansas City Chiefs. So can Steve Spagnuolo and that defense, what do they have to combat the force of nature, which is Saquon Barkley? I'm excited about that. And the quarterback matchup, of course.
All right. What about you, Cam?
I'm looking more on the Chiefs side of the ball. I'm thinking how the Eagles can contain Xavier Worthy, because we've seen in this playoff Xavier Worthy has been the X factor for the Kansas City Chiefs. And whenever they get him going, it gets everyone else going. So if the Eagles can limit him, because you're not going to take him out the game, but if they can limit his explosive plays, then I think they'll have a chance.
Sorry, I'm using a different layout here, so I'm trying to figure it out. All right. I think Jeff has already gave an idea of what he's looking forward to, but Jeff, please take it away.
Well, I want to see if the Chiefs can slow down Saquon Barkley, but I also want to see if the Chiefs can block this Philadelphia front. We know Philadelphia is very good at rushing with four, controlling the running game with those big D tackles inside. If they can do that, they're going to disrupt this Chiefs offense. One of the biggest things we've seen Mahomes in this Chiefs offense struggle with, four-man pressure and coverage behind it. If you can't get open, it forces him to scramble and hold the ball too long. And we've seen that happen too many times, right? You know, we saw it happen against Buffalo, all right? Prime example, right? Where he goes out there, they have four-man pressure. He can't get away from it, fumbles the football. So I think what you're looking at with Pat Mahomes is plain and simple. Can they beat coverage with just four-man pressure? This team is going to bring four-man pressure. They're going to get there at times. He can't scramble around all day. Sometimes he has to throw on schedule. They have to do it, and they just can't be off of RPO.
Okay. All right. I'll let Nathan take it away.
My focus is on Jalen Hurts and versus the blitz. I actually got a stat here for you. He actually has taken more sacks this year, 38. All but 11 quarterbacks so far in this league. This is actually from Pro Focus Football. He takes about 3 seconds to throw the ball. And against a Steve Spagnuolo defense, it's going to be interesting to see how he handles the blitz. I'm definitely watching that. He hasn't been terrible against the blitz, so it's going to be interesting to see how Kansas City gets to him. I know that for the offense is been spectacular. I know they've been dealing with some injuries, in particular later Dickerson. So I'm going to see how Jalen handles Kansas City's defense. Okay.
I think I'm looking forward to, and this is going to be crazy coming from me because, if you've watched this show all season long, I'm never giving the Chiefs any kudos, but I'm curious to see how Patrick Mahomes gets out of the situations. We're watching two of the top defenses obviously match up against one another. This is going to be a heavy defensive game, and I'm excited to see more for the Eagles. Like, how can they stop Patrick? So I guess I'll rephrase that. I'm excited to see the Eagles defense stop Patrick and force him into these situations where he needs to be, doing all that annoying stuff that he does all the time. So that's definitely what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for the Eagles defense to stop anything that's a positive red moving down the field. So clearly. And then I asked this question during our AFC, NFC championship shows, and I'd love to ask that again here. There's so many players on these teams, top rosters. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on who you think is that game-changing player for either team. You can pick offense or defense, because I feel like in this matchup, there has to be one guy that really carries it. And I think there's many on the Eagles, but obviously we're familiar with how many exist on the Chiefs. So I'll run it back to Nathan. Would you like to kick it off?
I'm going to say Lamar Jackson's best friend, Hollywood Brown. I know the man came off an injury, and he's now at the biggest stage of his career. And when healthy, Hollywood Brown has proven that he can be a good receiver. He's speedy. He's got hand. Well, when it's on a good day, and his hands not left back at the hotel. He could definitely be a reliable receiver. So he's definitely a guy I would not sleep on in the Super Bowl.
Okay. What about you, Joe?
I'm cheating. I'm just going to say the entire Chiefs secondary because Devontae Smith, a great tight end and daughter. You got A.J. Brown. The secondary's got to show up. If they're letting these guys get 5-10 yards of separation, again, it's going to be a very long game for the Chiefs. So that entire secondary is under pressure in my eyes. They just got to perform. You got to control the passing game of the Eagles. And I know it's crazy to say it, but if you force them to run the ball where it's just Saquon, I think if you're able to attack with 8-7 people in the box, that would be a lot better than them being able to throw the ball. Because if they can throw the ball for big chunks of yards and run the ball, it's not going to be a three-peat.
I love that word. Not going to be a three-peat. That's all I'm looking for. Cam?
I'm going to go to the Eagles defensive front, and I'm going to stick with Jalen Carter. I just think if you look at the way he's played over the last couple games, he's been dominant. He had multiple pressure against Jaden Daniels in an NFC Championship game. And if he can get Patrick Mahomes outside the pocket, if he can get him off balance throws, then I think that'll be crucial. Because if you allow the Chiefs to start running the ball and choking up the clock, then it's going to be hard for the Eagles and their limited possessions. And you know how their offensive plays, they love to chew the clock down too with Saquon Barkley in the short passing game. So it's all in with Jalen Carter and how he depends on Patrick Mahomes and forces that Eagles secondary to be what they usually are.
I feel like all these answers were like, yeah, good pick, Jeff.
Well, for me, it's going to come down to 5 guys: Jawan Taylor, Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey, Mike Caliendo, and Joe Tooney. Those 5 guys are going to be the key for the Chiefs. If they can't block that front and keep Patrick Mahomes clean, if they can't open up some running lanes, so the running backs, Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco can go out there and get yards on the ground and help balance this offense, they're going to have a rough time with this Philadelphia Eagles team. I think it's going to be a low-scoring first half, but we've seen with these two teams, things open up in the second half. So if they're not able to go out there and protect Pat Mahomes and get that running game going, you're not going to keep up with this Eagles team in the second half. You got to come out there and move the ball on the ground and in the air. Give this team something to think about besides just pinning their ear back and coming after your quarterback. You have to be able to give them something else to feed on, and that's the running game. Make Jalen Carter work on both sides. Slow him down a little with that running game. Allow him to work hard to get to the quarterback in the passing game. Don't make it easy for these guys.
Okay, we both hit the DT. I don't want to give – I'm going to keep saying this, I guess. There should be a tally of how many times I say this. I don't want to give the Chiefs too much credit, but there is a guy on their team named Chris Jones who is an absolute factor. He is the reason that the Chiefs beat the Niners in overtime last year. He is the reason that quarterbacks are kind of afraid when they feel his pressure coming along. I mean, he is an absolute game changer. He will take a step up to the moment, I think, and he's done it time and time again. Tied with the NFL for, most tackles in the consecutive seasons. I just think that he is very understanding of what his position is and how to stop the Eagles offense. And I think that he is the deciding factor, which I really hate to say, but it's just true. You can't avoid it. We all saw the overtime game last year. And when you rewatch that play and you see there's a gap, like, where was the entire Niners line? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So if they're watching film, Eagles, and you're listening to me here, thank you. You should watch that mistake that happened and avoid that at all costs.
And you have a rematch with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Juju, right? Remember the last Super Bowl? And there were those guys, all right? So you're going to see those guys at it again. It's going to be fun.
All right, Jeff, I'm going to take it back to you. I would love to hear what you think the entire Eagles defense is doing right. There's just so many different pieces, young guys, new guys, people filling in. It's been the storyline for this season. So what are the Eagles doing very well that will help them win the Super Bowl?
They're utilizing players to the best of their ability. We've seen players that, have played elsewhere. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was there. He was elsewhere last year, comes back, and is just as big an impact as he was when he left. Zach Bond is a spot player for New Orleans, played a little outside backer and edge rusher, goes inside with Philadelphia, playing at an all-pro level, all right? We talked about the D tackles already. But how about Quinyon Mitchell, the rookie corner, all right, goes out there. Cooper DeJean, rookie corner, playing in the nickel. Both of those guys have been impact players on this defense as rookies. It is rare you get two players that come into a secondary as rookies and make this kind of an impact. They make it easier on Darius Slay. They make it easier on those safeties. This defense is absolutely loaded. So they're utilizing, and credit to Fangio for going out there and utilizing his talent to the best of his ability. We've seen so many guys get reliant on scheme, and my scheme says this, and they don't utilize players to the best of their ability. He is doing just that. Those guys are playing in positions that are making them successful.
I feel like there's so much energy. Like, we're all watching social media, right? Like, you see how calm and cool and collected the Chiefs players are when they're doing all these media events. And I feel the same is true for Jalen. He's just PR trained. We can all agree on that. So I think the nerves would probably be getting to someone. You're back here. You lost to them a few years ago. You are very aware of the Chiefs' offensive tendencies. So curious to hear from Kam. What is something that you think the Eagles offense is going to excel at in this game? Maybe not excel. Okay, they're still the best defenses, but I guess outplay the Chiefs.
I think it's the obvious answer is going to be the running game, because I just don't think you're going to stop Saquon Barkley. No matter what you do, he's going to have some carries. He might rip off a 50-yard run, or he might go 5, 6, 2, 7. He'll still gain positive yardage. So I think the running game is always going to work with the Eagles and their formula, how they run schemes up and does things. But another thing that we could possibly pay attention to is A.J. Brown. Is this going to be the final game where we see Jalen Hurts just feed him, just keep trusting him, feed him out 10 to 12 targets, and then a couple deep shots to the Devontae Smith? Because we haven't seen that many deep shots to Smith or Brown this playoffs, but when they needed it, Hurts delivered. So I think that's another key factor that we have to think about.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. AJ Brown, I mean, I'm rooting for him day in and day out. All right, Joe, anything you want to talk about the Chiefs? I'm just going to let you have a pro, a con. If you say a pro, I'll give you some thumbs down.
I would say a pro for the Chiefs is going to be you've got to establish the running game. Isaiah Pacheco coming off that broken leg, he got about 3 or 4, maybe 4 or 5 games under his belt. Is this the game where we finally see him kind of get back to his old self? And then speaking of old selves, I don't know what time machine he stepped into, but Kareem Hunt running the ball like the Kareem Hunt of old. If they can keep that running game churning and keep Saquon, the Eagles' offense in the sidelines, and the clock turning, that'd be great for Kansas City. So I'd say a pro is the running game, getting the running game going. And like I said, Isaiah Pacheco, the angriest man in football, that's what we like to call him, getting him back on track. And I would say a con for the Chiefs would be, man, you got to get that run defense has got to improve. I mean, Chris Jones is a man, is a beast for sure, but their run defense has got to bring their A++ game. Be disciplined in your rush lanes, sound in your gaps, don't take chances. You're not going to stop Saquon, but can we at least limit the explosive runs, limit him dominating the game? So I'd say a con is what their past run defense has been like. It needs to go to another level for the Super Bowl for them to be in order to win this game.
You know, I'm glad that somebody said this in the comments because I didn't want to make this like a Philly fluff show. We're still all fans of our own team, but there are pros that have to be discussed when you're talking about the best team in the league. But I won't do any more Chiefs positivity. So I'll spin the narrative here for Nathan's question. Same idea. What is something for the Eagles that I can't remember how I phrased it for Joe, but just that, it's going to take them to the next level?
Well, don't let that Patrick Mahomes is 3-0 in his playoff career in the Super Bowl. Don't let that fool you. Philadelphia is 10th rushing yards. It's a rushing defense. That's number one. I think that they're efficient in the red zone. I think that's going to be key. Again, if they protect Jalen Hurts, he's only been sacked, according to my notes. I have my notes here. He's only been sacked 12% on blitzes. Biggest thing I'm going to be looking for is their efficiency and going into the red zone, because one thing is going to be really key is limiting the mistakes, especially in the second half. And I think that's where Saquon's going to be utilized a little bit more, because if you notice, and later half in the season, Saquon was used more in the second half of the games. So it's going to be interesting to see how they will look. But I think stats will show you have your number one pass defense, you have the 10th rushing best defense, and I think you are red zone efficient offense. I think everything is in their favor. They limit the mistakes, do all the right things. I think everything's right for Philadelphia.
I feel like everybody keeps saying that. Like, this game is in the Eagles' favor, but my face is blocking him. There's one guy on this background that can completely change anything. It's like the Steph Curry, Klay Thompson magic. Like, Travis Kelce knows exactly where to be, when to be, how to be. He's underneath. He's down the field. He's blocking. Like, these two right here have some chemistry that is unbelievable. So I do have a question for you guys, because there's rumors going around. If the Chiefs were to win, do you believe Kelsey's going to propose to Taylor Swift?
No.
I say no.
Oh, wow.
That's going to happen on some like Cancun or something. So, yeah.
Almaty Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Monte Carlo, something like that. It's not good.
Yeah, I think it's too cheesy for that relationship. Just my opinion.
My question to him would be why? You don't have anything to lose as long as you're dating. You get married, things don't work out. Y'all gonna start talking about who gets what, how much or what. Nah, man, leave it at least. Let's enjoy dating.
You didn't want 2 rings in one day?
Yeah, well, that ring costs.
You're gonna have the 2 rings.
He gets to keep the Super Bowl ring. That ring costs when you break up.
Reach.
Anti-love here on Moving the Chains.
Real talk of Jeff Barnes, Tuesdays at 5:00.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break before I ask everybody their predictions and their favorite moments from the season. So stay tuned, everyone.
In 2006, we founded Yeti Coolers with a simple mission: build the cooler we use every day if it existed. One that was built for the serious outdoor enthusiasts rather than for mass discount retailers. One that could take the abuse we knew we'd put it through, out in the field and on the water. One that simply wouldn't break. We decided early on that production innovation would come from necessity and first-hand experience, not from market research and data analysis. Today, Yeti products perform when it matters most. Whether that be an excursion into the remote Alaskan wilderness, chasing redfish on the Gold Coast, or just getting together with friends in the backyard, we make gear that helps you stay out longer, travel farther, and live harder.
You are watching Team NBS Media. We are a digital media brand covering sports, entertainment, and lifestyle, with team members all across the country. Through our written content, podcasts, and video content, we bring you fresh and professional content. Interested in joining the team? Shoot us an email or DM. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Moving the Chains here. The first 25 minutes, we've been talking about what we're expecting from these two teams, who's going to do well, how we believe everyone's going to perform. And I mean, I don't know what everyone's predictions are just yet. We're going to do that at the end of the show. But before we get there, I would love to hear your guys' favorite moments of the season. This has been one of the crazier ones. We've seen phenomenal Commanders, terrible Raiders, of course, and everything in between. So I'm going to start with Jeff. Please tell me your favorite moment.
For me, I was talking about the guy at the beginning of the show, Saquon hitting 2,000. I mean, we don't see that very often. Granted, it's a longer season now. It's a 17-game season instead of 16. However, to see it in a year where people talked about the running back position being devalued, he showed you how much of a value it is to have a great running back. Him and Derrick Henry both had great years, but overall, seeing him go with 2,000 in this season, even though it's with the team that most people don't want to win in the Eagles, it was great to see that happen again. And it also, I like it for the running back position overall, to bring value to guys who are going to put their bodies on the line for teams for years to come.
100%. All right, Cam.
My favorite moment of the season is particularly around a certain team and a certain player. I'm gonna go with the Denver Broncos and like Bo Nix, because coming out of the draft, no one expected Bo Nix to be good. They all said Sean Payton, this is just a lab quarterback for him, just a replacement. He's going to be a backup soon. We're comparing him to Zach Wilson, all these different types of guys, Mitchell Trubisky, and they had the Broncos at 5-4 wins in the preseason polls, and then Bo Nix comes out and just shows everyone why he was one of the best quarterbacks in the nation at Oregon. So I think that's a story that every NFL quarterback or every NFL prospect should look up to and be like, no matter what the media says, I'm going to go out there and ball.
And they were calling him old, okay? He's not even old. He just played a little bit more college than everybody else. Nathan?
Okay, well, that's not really too much, but it's combined. Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Obviously, Derrick Henry, we know, is one of the best running backs in the game, but coming into this season, a lot of people said he was washed. And to see the year that he had alongside Lamar Jackson, and when you're compared to the greatest show on turf, and you're given the quote, the greatest show on grass, I think that is an accomplishment as a team. And seeing collectively how both players made each other better, I cannot speak to the greatness of those two. And speaking to Jeff's point, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, and James Cook, those three have made the running back position valuable again, in my opinion.
Say it louder for the people in the back. Everybody's nodding their head here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Joe. I think we all know, but you can.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy. It's got to be the return. It's got to be the return and the resurrection of the Commanders. I mean, it was a great season. Yeah, we didn't make the Super Bowl, but we hadn't been in an NFC Championship game in like 50,000 years. Just the vibes around the organization. I mean, the owner taking out a full-page ad in the newspaper, thanking the fans and the people in the front office for the incredible season, and just the vibes. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen the Commanders quarterback a hot commodity at Super Bowl week. You're doing interviews and podcasts and people talking about who can go where. I mean, Myles Garrett says he wants to get traded from the Browns, and instead of talking about go to Dallas or go to Chicago or go to the Raiders, it's Commanders is the first team that pops up. That stuff just didn't happen to us. So, I mean, just to see our team back to being relevant, the whole season was a great moment for me.
Wait, what about when we hit the year 2020 with Taylor Heineke?
I'm good on that. I'm good on that. That was a hell of a run, though, too. That was exciting. We should have beat Tampa Bay.
Okay, I agree. Okay.
I thought you were going to take us to church for a moment, Joe. I thought you were going to be going, hey, man, the Commanders are back. Hey, man, preach.
It's been a roller coaster, emotional couple of weeks, man. I've had my moment. I'm calm now.
I thought he was going to start off with Hail Mary, Jesus, and Joseph, just like Jeff said.
You missed it already. That passed.
Still like an iconic moment.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, mine is going to be a two-time one. I'm going to first credit Josh Jacobs. I love seeing Raiders go off and be successful somewhere else, and I think that many people doubted what Josh Jacobs was capable of doing, and he proved them wrong. He really helped that Packers team offensively. Without him, I don't know how successful they would have been in such a difficult division. So I'm very happy for Josh Jacobs and just the season he's had. And then on the Raiders side, I'm going to say Brock Bowers is the small shining light that the offense needed. And even though the quarterback position was in absolute shambles, Brock Bowers breaking that tight end record and just being a great addition to this team. I was freaking out when they drafted him last year. If you watch the draft show, I was like, this is absurd. But I think once everything falls into place, it'll be nice to have a strong tight end. And we've seen success in the Chiefs and the Niners that have a great tight end that is able to do it all. So those are my two favorite moments of the season. All right. I feel like we're cutting it short, but there's so many things that have happened. This game just feels like it's so up in the air. We're trusting the Philadelphia Eagles too much, but I'd love to hear you guys' predictions, and then I'll ask some follow-up questions on that. So, Joe, who are you taking to win the Super Bowl?
I'm going to go Chiefs 31-27. Patrick Mahomes, the baby goat, does it again. Saquon runs wild, but it's not enough for the Eagles to win the championship.
Wow, that's so annoying. Nathan?
I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles 38-27.
Whoa, it's a beatdown. I like that. Cam?
As much as it hurts me to say, I'm going to go with the Chiefs 28-24. I think Mahomes is going to make that fourth quarter under 2 minutes type of play, drain the ball down, go down, get a touchdown, and that's game.
Ugh. Jeff?
Look for the Eagles to take a halftime lead, and at the end of the day, it comes down to Pat Mahomes and that defense of the Chiefs. Not so much Mahomes making that big final drive. I think the defense has to hold on like they did against Buffalo. They get the job done.
Wow, you also picked the Chiefs?
You're making Ashmere so sad. The vibe of the show is just.
I'm just like, there has to be like some other type of belief here, you know? Like we have to believe in something bigger than
Well, this is going to be history, right? If the Chiefs win this, they'll be the first to win 3 in a row. Nobody's ever done it, and the teams that have done it in the past have all failed to do it a third time, right? So you look at it, Lombardi had a chance to win 3 Super Bowls. He walked away before he could do it in Green Bay. Jimmy Johnson, of course, we know what happened there. And then you turn around, you look at Mike Shanahan, the guy that ran back-to-back, couldn't do it again. Bill Belichick. Right? We talk about some great coaches who couldn't get that done. So, it's not shocking, to say the least. Well, I would say Bill Walsh, but it wasn't Bill Walsh that did it. It was Bill Walsh and then George Seifert won back. So, I think you look at it, it's history possibly in the making, or it's Philadelphia's second Super Bowl victory in less than 10 years. So that alone is a cause for celebration for a lot of Eagles fans who hadn't sniffed the Super Bowl victory in 40 years. So kudos to those guys.
I think this is all Saquon's taking. Like, he's probably got the Giants logo in his locker room, Patrick Mahomes in his locker room. Like, he has everything that he believes is an obstacle, like, driving him to take this game away. So I'm curious to hear. We all watched the AFC game. We were all disappointed. And I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on the play that is the most controversial in that game, which was the possible drop catch that was granted to the Chiefs. Did you all agree with that call, and did you believe that that was a catch for the Chiefs or not? I'll let Cam you go first. I know Jeff's like, I got it.
Yeah, I think it was the catch because I think it's hard to, once you make a play on the field, it's hard to go back and overturn it no matter what the film was. And we all saw the play and we couldn't tell if the ground was helping him or he was trying to push the ball off the ground. But it looked like he had a firm possession. Thought it was an interception at first, but Xavier Worthy came down with it. So it was very controversial to see which decision you go with. But I think as it always stands, whatever call you make on the field, you got to stand with that.
A noble man. Jeff, go ahead.
Well, Cam was actually right. You know, I stand with the call because it was called the catch on the field. I know people don't like it. People think it was an interception. It's not an interception when both players have their hands on the ball. That's called simultaneous possession that goes to the offense every time. It's like a tie at first base. But when you see the ball move, when it hits the ground, they're pulling it away from the ground. It doesn't move when it hits the ground because it hits the ground. It moves because they're pulling it away from the ground. So I can see how they kept it as a catch because they're saying those two guys both had possession and pulled it away from the ground, meaning that they had control of it when it did hit the ground. So they couldn't overturn it, although we've seen them overturn some dubious ones that were definitely catches before. But nevertheless, with the newer rules, with them finally fixing the catch rule, it's hard to turn that one over when you call it a catch on the field. It was a catch unless you saw the ball, move in an unnatural way when it hit the ground. You got to stick with it.
All right, Nathan.
Yeah, by the letter of the law, if it's a catch, it's a catch. That's Brian is an example of that. But no, the only issue is with that going forward, going into next season, if we have a play like that, the league has to be consistent with a call like that. So I'm in agreement with Cam and Coach Barnes on that.
Coach Barnes taking it away. All right, Joe. I think we all know your answer because you're a Chiefs fan all of a sudden.
Oh, my God. I'm a Chiefs fan. I'm a Patrick Mahomes fan. I'm a greatness fan. No, I think that I think that play should have been overturned, actually, to be honest with you. I think I even posted that on my X account in real time when it happened. But like Jeff said, when they make the call on the field, 99% of the time they stick with it. The 1% when they change it, it's usually unbelievable that they changed it because the call was right in the first place. So I thought they should have overturned it, but I wasn't surprised they didn't. I mean, look at the track record of the NFL and how the refs have been calling these games. It shouldn't have been that much of a surprise. I really, really hope that the refs are not the star of the Super Bowl, so that if the Chiefs win, we don't have to hear this narrative all summer about how their best player on their team is the guys in stripes.
But you got to admit, that was kind of funny when they asked him that in the media questions. Who his favorite ref is?
Yeah, it was. I would have laughed. I wouldn't have asked it, but I would have laughed if I heard it, though.
Hey, you're trying to go viral these days. The people are going to ask whatever they want. And I think he answered it pretty well.
You lose your creds really fast.
Yeah. Dude, if you're at the Super Bowl, you're already there. What do you care?
You want to go back next year?
Or anywhere.
I know that clip did very well, and I think it was handled well by Patrick, right? The PR training going well. I'm going to obviously disagree with everybody because I'm a super hater and say that I think the ground assisted in the catch, but I agree with everyone's what you said here. They called it a catch. It's difficult to turn it back, and but I feel like what made it worse was when they took the play that occurred after that back and they gave them an extra down. I just feel like the combination of things that happened made it feel like it was too sus. And that is also why the entire nation believes that the refs are on the Chiefs' side. So I think if both of those things didn't happen, then I would stick to the agreement with everyone here saying that it was a catch. and you can't overturn that. But I just feel like that was weird. That was hella sus. And that's what makes people root for the green, even though they would rather like not watch this entire game on Sunday. But they want things done correctly. So,
but the thing was, they challenged. So if they didn't hear the challenge, they would complain. They didn't hear the challenge, they would overturn it. Yep. They did hear the challenge, and they said, "Oh, they should have kept the play." They're not going to win with the refs. At this point, people are convinced that the Chiefs and the refs are in cahoots. Listen, bad officiating is bad officiating. I've watched all the games I could watch this season, and I can't count a game where I've seen cleanly officiated. There's bad officiating on multiple levels. I've beaten up this subject 1,000,001 times here on Team BS Media. Fans, listen, if you're mad at officials, don't get mad because it's for one team. 10 years ago, you were saying that they were helping out New England. Okay, it is what it is, right? They're bad. They're not getting any better because they're taught by bad officials. Bad officials teach bad officials. It's what happens. Okay, there's no accountability, so don't even get mad and say they're helping one team. They stink overall. Trust me, if they're screwing one team this week, they're gonna screw another one next week. It happens. Okay, all right.
It also does not help either.
Sorry, go ahead.
But it also does not help when there's teams that take advantage of the rules too. So, for example, when Kansas City was playing Houston got flagged for, they thought it was illegal, helmet to helmet on Mahomes, when in reality, both players for the Texans hit each other and Mahomes wasn't touched. Because Mahomes and Josh Allen, specifically, I'm using as an example, get away with a lot of unnecessary roughness, they get away with that a lot. So they're going to have to really make some adjustments on the rules next year because guys are taking advantage of certain rules way too much.
Yeah, I'm worried about when they start making rules because sometimes they make rules that just don't make sense. They keep coming up with the rules about the hits on the receivers. They can't get that right. Listen, you're not going to be able to legislate violence out of the game. It's a violent game. Okay, it doesn't change. All right, you can say you can't hit somebody. We're going to hit somebody as long as they're coming across the middle. And you saw what happened when they started hitting them high and flagging them. They started going low and they were breaking legs and knees and everything else. And then they said, okay, enough of that. Now we're going to make low hits a penalty too. So you're not going to be able to stop the violence in the game. So don't try and make rules that take the violence out of it. Try to make the game safer in different ways, more about technique than it is about the big violent hit. That makes it a lot safer because guys can get up and continue to play as opposed to trying to make these big violent hits where guys are getting their heads out there, getting concussions and other things. So try and make the game safer by cleaning up the play, not cleaning up the rule book. The rule book is what it is.
Yeah, and before things get too crazy, outlaw the flop, the Patrick Mahomes flop. Don't let James Harden football get into the NFL. I might be Team Mahomes, but that was ridiculous. Other guys like 20 yards away from us got shot by a sniper falling on the sidelines. We need to get rid of that immediately.
Can I ask Coach Barnes a question, Ashmere? I'm sorry.
Oh my God, please don't be sorry. It's a free-for-all.
Can I have a definition of what a hip drop tackle is specifically? Because what I'm understanding, like I read it through on the league's website, but when I watched it on TV, like it's not called, it's not consistent. So maybe you can you explain to me what specifically is a hip drop tackle?
Well, the first problem is they call it a hip drop tackle. It's not a hip drop tackle. It's called gator rolling. Okay, it's when you hit around the waist. You twist your body to twist the man down, okay? And how the injuries happen is because your body is lower than his, and when you're twisting his weight, his legs could be planted underneath you, and when that happens, you get the breaks in the ankles, the breaks in the fibula, all that stuff, because your weight is now being put onto his leg in an uncomfortable position. So that's why they wanted to outlaw it. But you have to have guys that understand what the hip drop tackle is. Most officials don't know what it is. You can show them a couple of it times on film, and they'll get it wrong. Just like get the horse collar wrong. Okay, how could you get the horse collar wrong, but they get it wrong, right? So once again, when you try and legislate the violence out the game, this is what happens. If you would have kept the regular tackling in place, instead of fine, you don't want to put the head across the body because you're afraid of the concussions. Put it near hip, head on near hip, still hip, drive and hit. Roll your hips and drive to the ground, okay? That is still safer than trying to hip drop or gator rolling. It's still safer than diving at the ankles, right? It's still safer than all of that. Okay, but we got away from it because we're so afraid of the concussions in the NFL level and lawsuits and all that stuff. We had to find another way. Well, hip drop tackling was one of the things they came up with. Now they want to outlaw that. So once again, you can't legislate the violence of the game. But if you go back and clean up the technique, the proper tackling techniques, you don't have the issues that you're talking about.
Any more questions, Nathan?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you, Coach Barnes. I appreciate you, sir.
No
Not
problem.
in a bad way. I say every show. I learn from Jeff every single day. So I appreciate all questions directed at Jeff. Both of them. Whatever. You know what I'm saying.
I'm not a coach, not yet. I'm more of a Jeff's an offensive coordinator. I'm a wannabe defensive coordinator.
I've been there too. I was on defense first.
All right, my friends, the time has come. We have talked so many good things about each team. We know our predictions, and we've got to talk a little bit about the play that led the Bills out and got the Chiefs here. So if you're tuning in, thank you so much. And thanks everyone here for taking the time to chat before the big Super Bowl weekend. I hope you all have a great time, and be sure to like, subscribe, follow on Team NBS Media Live on our new X account so that you can be sure to be with us throughout the off season. We've got Jeff's draft show, which I feel like I'm going to let him do a shout out real quick. Jeff, please.
Well, yes, I get to do a shameless plug. Wednesday nights, 9:15 p.m. here on Team NBS Media. Now that we're streaming live on X back, we will be back here on X, 9:15 p.m. Team NBS Draft Central. We had draft prospect Ryan Johnson on last week from Southern Miss, defensive end. We'll have another draft prospect this week, Jalen Williams, defensive lineman. We're going to talk guards and defensive tackles here on Draft Central this week. We'll have our top 5 rankings, myself, Bill, and Greg Rector.
Nice. I'm excited. Next up, we'll see everyone when the draft rolls around. So have a great weekend, and be sure to like, subscribe, all the things I've already said. And good luck to the Eagles. I'm rooting for you.